Maybe.
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing.
I do have some thoughts, but let's take things step by step.
Good plan. Impossible things don't just happen. We'll get to the truth one way or another.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stands. Besides, I doubt Furina understands any more about what happened than we do.
That would be a whole other thing. And also, who's gonna be the prosecution in this case, now that I think about it? Is it gonna be Furina?
Thanks, Navia. Well, we'll be going then.
Best of luck to you.
Is Furina the prosecutor? Because we're the defense attorneys, but is she going to be the prosecutor, or who else is going to be the prosecutor? Because usually there has to be defense...
Finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
We found stuff, but not enough stuff. Also, there has to be a judge, prosecutor, defense attorney. That's usually how trials go.
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
And also the idea of a jury. I don't know, are we going the jury route? Or is it going to be like Phoenix Wright where we don't have a jury? Is the audience the jury?
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed.
No. Also the idea of,
That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session.
The court will now take place for the trial between the defense attorneys and the prosecutor. And the audience is already ready.
Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Let's go, Furina.
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Clearly reveals the details of the magic trick. Everyone in the audience is stunned.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
First of all, like, if that's considered his testimony, then that would be subjected to cross-examination.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Furina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any kind?
Did he actually say he didn't hear anything else at all?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
So, what? How does that prove his guilt? How could Lena not know the sound? Was he somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
Yeah, but...
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the thud.
Okay,
Look
what?
at those scales. Could those mean...
They probably represent the Archpriest's stance on the trial, so he's already considered guilty before he even had a chance to come in and say something about it.
Gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, but his alibi is the box, not an actual person. So it's really hard to argue being inside of a box as an alibi.
Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid.
A little too early to say you're perfect right at the first bit, but doesn't mean I can't cross-examine.
Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
What does it have to do with anything, and how is this relevant?
The House of the Hearth?
Wait, what? Oh. They're Fatui.
No
Okay.
wonder they did something like this.
Now we're just really muddying the waters. Like saying someone's a nut and really trying to intrude on everyone's expectations.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
Because you're appealing to some group that everybody hates.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
True. The House of Hearth is an orphanage run by the Fatui. The children usually become members of the Fatui. Okay.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it.
Unless you're really going with confidence.
The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't
What?
they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This was almost too easy. Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Also, who was that other part of her that she was talking to herself? Is that like an alter ego for Furina or something?
Hey, Linny, why didn't you tell us this before?
Lenny and Lena are Fatui. And I am literally defending Fatui. So, despite the fact that I've looked at Fatui in a negative light many different ways, and I've attacked them, now I'm on the other side of that equation of defending them.
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to reestablish the facts. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth.
The fact that they're Fatui, and the fact that there was a contradiction in their testimonies about not being able to hear the thud.
Are these claims true?
There's no doubt about the magician's ability to con others, given how Lenny has concealed his identity. Could have been all set up beforehand. Plus, Child is here in Fontaine with house operatives. There must be some scheme at work here. I've been a victim of such schemes before, and now?
Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
The fact that they're not answering the question makes everybody infer guilt.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
We didn't even have a chance to respond.
What should we do now?
Permission to speak, Your Honor.
Granted.
Okay, my client has withheld some key information. My defense cannot proceed. What? Is the traveler giving up already?
In that case, what is your request?
I'm requesting a brief adjournment. There are things that must be discussed.
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
We haven't set up a testimony, so I can at least refute something directly. So the traveler's just giving up?
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
All the evidence that we've gathered.
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in 1 hour.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly have more professionalism than I thought.
Is there some evidence we didn't get on the first bit? Or are we missing one thing?
In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
The card is luring me with Lenny and Lent backstage in the Opera House. Ugh.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
The truth really did come out, but not in what we were expecting.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon just knew where to start. We trusted you two.
And yet we still have to defend them.
We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys.
Yeah, but you expect, like, them to be completely innocent, but there's still gonna be some things to the character.
Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad.
They are Fatui, but not all Fatui has done this. Like, they're not like the Balladeer, Signor, or the Doctor. So there's some degrees of morality within the ranks of the Fatui, like Child or even Linny and Lynette, but at the same time, character does, like, background does not always define character.
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but please, let me explain. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
So you're saying you're different from the Fatui?
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead.
Yeah, but here's the thing. An omission of the truth is still a lie, so you kinda still lied there.
The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to.
Yeah, well, if you want to be considered not guilty, maybe you shouldn't have to lie. Like, we know this isn't another lie.
Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point.
First of all, I'm not the judge. Nuvolette is. Second of all, it's up to you to divulge information so I can trust you.
You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
That's gonna require some effort on your part.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but...
Explain the other issue. Where did you actually go while the trick was being performed? So, if he was not in the box, then where was he?
Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it.
So you want to know about the Oratrice. But is that's where you went during the trick?
From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick with the objective of getting close to the core.
Yeah, but how were you able to get close to the core during the magic trick?
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
So, the core is on the other side of those vents.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
And what was over there?
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard someone's voice, which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came.
So, you thought someone who called out to you recognized you. Who could it possibly have been?
On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought.
Yeah, but that was... So that's why you couldn't hear the thud. But if that's the case, then why not tell everybody else about that? My guess is you didn't want to divulge knowing about the Oratrice because that would have put you in a way more precarious position, and therefore you would have been guilty right on the spot. The idea of you having to question all the judgments given in one go.
After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
But why do you want to understand how the Oratrice operates?
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, I didn't hide anything from you this time.
You went to the room with the core. But I really do wonder, what was the core... What did the core look like?
It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can do to stop you.
First of all, I have trusted some people who are the Fatui before, so I'm not gonna just jump straight to the conclusion of they're all guilty. And second of all, I'm not gonna make a decision based on identity.
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
I believe in the facts, because that's how a trial should be conducted. I'll defend you from these charges. I believe that the judgment should be dispensed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two.
Because of those two argumentative points. The fact that he didn't hear the thud, and the fact that they're Fatui.
If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense.
Yeah, well, it better not be as watertight as that tank that was dropped. Actually, we already have the key evidence we need. What?
Huh?
The adjournment's almost over. Let's go back.
Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
What defense do we have against what thing? Lenny's statement claims that it headed to the chamber containing the Oratrice core upon entering the tunnel, did not witness the crime taking place, and thus did not hear the sound. The voices in the Oratrice core chamber claims they have heard the mysterious voice within the chamber hours. Oratrice core within the Opera's House underground structures. But is that all the evidence we have, or all the clues? The brief adjournment ends, and the nail-biting trial reconvenes. Nail-biting trial.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When
Alright,
last we left
clues.
off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Furina as fact. Therefore, Lady Furina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention.
As if you haven't gotten it already.
At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linny's perspective.
Objection!
Okay. Based on the opposition accounting bench, you can identify loopholes in the statement. So now we're actually going to do the cross-examination part? Use evidence and clues obtained during the investigation to refute any erroneous assertions of facts and replace them with new inferences. Use your reputation to convince the audience and obtain more support from the people. The Oratrice will display such shifts clearly. When you find and refute all incorrect content, you can complete the cycle of refutation and unveil the truth.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel.
So now we begin the cross-examination.
When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the station with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her.
What?
At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linny red-handed.
What?
So Linny proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linny passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident.
Wait, what? That's a lot of,
And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Actually, no.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady FURINA'S description of the events?
Can I look at that first piece of, testimony and then compare and contrast what happened?
The key to refuting Lady FURINA is the order of events. What Linny experienced and what he saw.
So, what? Do I have to object to every single statement there? Entered the tunnel as the countdown began. The loud sound was from Linny and Halsey fight, but Linny claimed that he heard nothing in order to cover the truth up. Identify loopholes? So... Linny's statement did not witness crime taking place and thus did not hear the thud. So... If the loud sound was from Linny and Halsey's fight... So do I use this Linny statement as a loophole? Did not witness the crime taking place and thus did not hear the thud.
According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Okay. Linny entered the tunnel as the sound began, so my guess is I don't use the thing again. Linny entered the tunnel as the countdown began. Did he enter the tunnel elsewhere? So I have 5 pieces of evidence, and I have 5 testimonies to work with. And my guess is I need to match each evidence with each testimony. No one left the Opera House during the magic show and after the incident happened. Only those other entities clear could leave. The voice in the orchestra chamber, the string sound. During the switching performance, there was an audible bump that many audience members heard. On-stage accident. Meticulously designed magic prop activated, causing the water tank to crash. Everything seems like an accident. Dr. Cowl. Young lady's clothes. Meticulously designed. Okay. I gotta look at one thing at a time. The tunnel. Is there any evidence of the tunnel? During the switching performance, there's an audible thump that many audiences heard. But what? Let me just look at the evidence first before I look at the testimonies. Because I need to figure out which goes where. Select evidence to refute Linny entered the tunnel. Taking place. Or did I successfully refute? Yes. No one left the Opera House during the magic show and after the incident. Those who had their identities. Sorry if I'm getting a little boring trying to mix and match here. Because now I gotta get into the nitty-gritties of it. Can I refute? Because what happens if I get it wrong? Nope. That's not what happens. Linny claims to have heard the mysterious voice within the Opera House. So, he didn't enter the chamber. Right, he didn't enter the tunnel, but he entered the chamber. Nope. Belonging to Halsey, lady went missing, were found in the tunnel. The reason remains. Linny must have been very confused when he saw them here? Nope, so it's actually young lady's clothes. Nope. So I can't use any of these evidence for any of this testimony. So I can't refute this, but I don't have to refute every single thing. Linny's statement. Select evidence to refute on-stage accident. So, Linny knocked Cowl out.
Linny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, did not take part in the underground fracas. He only witnessed the traces of what happened. Kidnapped Halsey. Why? Who knows? Okay. So that piece of evidence is being used. Lenny knocked Halsey out using the vase and removed her clothes to prevent her from being identified. However, Lenny was really... Was Lenny really in the tunnel at the time? No, because it would have been in the switching? Nope. These two pieces of evidence. Chamber that houses the... voice in the chamber, because he would have heard the voice in the chamber. So therefore...
Lenny went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Okay, so I refuted...
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the countdown started, Lenny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent.
Or what's left to prove innocence from a lack of guilt. So... Successful refutation.
Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that!
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
Are you suggesting otherwise?
That's right!
Moreover, I believe my opposition's reason is flawed.
My reasoning?
The onstage equipment was clearly tampered with in premeditated fashion. However, you say Cowell bumped into Lenny by chance.
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lenny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell them! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident. I'll give you that.
Right.
But what proof do you have to back your claims?
How you refuted Lenny's alibi initially, do you happen to remember?
Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound?
Didn't we
Would
already...
you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Your claim has now become my weapon. Your claim has also become a critical clue. Choose the relevant evidence about how he didn't hear it. The... information on Lenny, missing person... Lenny's statement. This is considered irrelevant. So we have to choose 3 pieces of evidence here. Missing person, she came back to the magic show. She isn't known to anyone who's tangled in quarrels with Annie. So she's not connected to Lenny.
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought?
Nope. Strange sound during the magic show. So he was in the tunnel when the switch happened, so...
That's right! Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance.
Because he was elsewhere. God, I gotta get that one written down.
This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played.
To think you'd use such logic.
Why is Furina literally beside herself? And why is she... what the hell?
Now then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Dang it. Do I actually know the murderer was the audience member who was chosen? Select the gear icons in the interface to corresponding case questions. Select all the answers to fill the empty gears to verify the correctness of your deduction. If you have made a mistake, you must make another selection from the remaining options. Once you've answered all the questions correctly, complete the logic chain. How did the culprit trigger the on-stage accident? Cause of water... Now we're actually doing through, like, this type of thing. Guard investigation report indicates the fireworks released near the end of how it died burned through the rope suspended in the air. This caused the water tank to fall box below. Lenny is no longer under suspicion. Only the members of the troupe would have been able to tamper with the props. Lenny gave a detailed account of how the trick was supposed to work, by using the box inside of a box, and the idea for the box containing the audience member to be transported across tunnel. Lenny himself would have used the tunnel to get to the other side. Having changed her outfit, Lynette and her assistant would take charge on an off-stage interaction. The clothes belonging to Halsey, the lady went missing, were found in the tunnel. The reason for this remains unknown. Who is the person who could have possibly committed the crime? Cowell?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
So it would have been the audience member?
Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along?
So is she relevant? Well, what about this?
Could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility?
Is it the voice and the third person was the voice inside the chamber? Like, or is there any other way to exit that core chamber, aside from the ventilation? Possibly, but that's a whole other question all entirely. Was it the audience member? Because if I'm going to accuse the audience member, then I got to prove how this audience member had a motive and everything. But then again, third person? Nope. Then it's the audience. It's the audience member, Halsey.
Halsey is the missing person, and...
Nope. So neither of that is related. So the two people who might have had a motive are an incorrect hypothesis, but the victim? Who could have committed the crime?
The deceased's
the victim.
name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
True. But did he commit the crime? Wait, what?
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious?
Is it, like... We're looking at Cowell as the victim. Why would he commit the crime? Like, he would have been a, Okay, let's stop for a second. Who could have operated the mechanism? Lynette... Cowell would have been the prop performer. So, he would have been in charge of, like, things downstairs in the tunnel. So, the other two people, the third person and the audience member, possibly have motive, but now we're actually blaming the dead guy?
The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
How the hell am I gonna prove that?
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Because we only... Okay, now even I'm confused at this part. We would have, like... It is true that after the fact of what happened, we're looking at him as the victim. But is he truly the victim? Cowell's plan, the situation inside the tunnel... How can you envisage Lenny as having been unable to interfere with the crime?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey?
So, this piece of evidence. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and...
So Cowell would have tried to encounter Halsey? Relevant?
The sound we heard may have come from a clash...
Yeah, so that's there. Okay. You put that there.
It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Linny as well.
That? So, only Linny entered the tunnel, so nobody else could have possibly entered the tunnel. Here...
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time.
Okay. Where did the missing Haley go?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey?
So the exits and entrances were sealed? Nope. Only one piece of evidence is correct.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
Yeah, so that's relevant.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must have been some fear that she would attract attention.
So she changed clothes in there? Here.
It would have been tough for both people.
Okay, that's incorrect.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people to...
Here. No. Wait, why is that not relevant?
Halsey's clothing was...
Here, because I'm literally just going through one at a time.
It would have been tough for both... No one entered or left the opera house through it.
Okay. What am I looking at? I'm looking at... just going through one piece of evidence. I know it's like... trial and error. And every time I get it wrong, I get less and less piece of evidence to work with. Okay. So, the entrance and exit.
The deceased's name is Cowell.
He would have been able to tamper. So the clothing is there.
Linny was not in the tunnel.
Why? So... Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, I've got it wrong. So I'm supposed to select a question. Where did Halsey go? Who's a prime suspect currently? Have we envisaged Linny as having to interfere with the claims? Okay, so there are questions here. Oh, okay. How can we envisage Linny as being able to interfere with the crime? Because there's no way he could have left?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey?
Here. Where did the missing Halsey go?
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel.
The missing Halsey. Nope. Are we literally struggling? The criminal must have understood the methods behind Lane's trick and must have been in a position to easily modify the equipment. Leaving aside how he died, Cowell means to commit the crime at the hospital. The strange noise could have been the sound of Cowell and Halsey struggling. And he was not in the tunnel for 1 minute. This could give Cowell that bring Halsey out. Did I get something wrong? But according to the guard's testimony, no one entered or left the house, so even if it would have taken her, there would be no means of exiting. Exiting from the box would have been full view for the audience, pretty much guaranteeing they would have been discovered.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
Where in the world did Halsey go? Yeah, even I can't figure that one out.
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff. And here I thought you had something to show for it.
Look, Since we're at a dead end, just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
Did I get it wrong?
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Yeah, but how? We don't even know that.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Escaping from the water tank. Wait, could it have been the water? What? Wait. I'm just thinking of something right now. And I know it's really messed up, and I'm just going out of limb. The only idea I have is the prophecy. The idea that could have been the water. The water! People turn into water? Is that possible?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
Yeah, I tend to do the awkward part, but there's a reason why I do that.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Hold it!
Hold on a second.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time.
Any statement?
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
So now, we have to choose, where did the missing Halsey go?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrance.
The vase is here, but...
The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water... It would have been tough for both people. Halsey's clothing was... The vase was not broken.
Is it possible for people to turn into water? Because I really wonder. The vase? Because the vase is the only thing I have to go by. So I don't know why it's the vase. People to turn to water, and the vase held water which held people.
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped.
Is it possible for people to transport between different bodies of water? And so Lynette, who is in the tank, dissolved, turned into water, and then turned into the vase downstairs in the tunnel?
Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Yeah, like Mona. Except that's a whole different story.
Just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
I request that we examine Cowell's personal effects.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about 2 completely different things.
Magic tricks are illusion and misdirection, but Halsey's... So, was magic still used?
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him.
True.
But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Who says we can't look at their belongings?
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress.
Also, Nouvellette reminds me of Van Zieks from the Great Ace Attorney series.
Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effect.
So, how is it possible for a person to turn into water?
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea.
I have no idea what that means, but I'm assuming it's relevant.
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice.
So now Cowell's background is into question. If you want to put Linny and Lynette's background into question, I think it's fair we examine Cowell as well.
The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times.
Oh god, I thought I would be, but it seems like that's possible.
One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
I didn't want to make that claim, being as unrealistic as it is. But the fact that you could come up with something like that, I just go into different ways you'd never imagine.
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Even if it was real life, even I don't know. But for the sake of the game, it would be related to the prophecy.
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but...
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partner?
Let's go.
Order! Order!
Order, I say!
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence. So please continue speaking.
His cane is like a judge's mallet. I really wonder why he doesn't have that mallet.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
The vase, the water tank in the vase.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all.
Was that metal hook used to hold up the vase, or what was it used for?
Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.